am Dominus Cinephile.
Welcome to my movie and TV series reviews, where I will provide honest opinions of the latest releases. If the movie or TV series is a hit or a miss, be sure to know I will inform you. But if the movie or series is trash, be also sure to know that I will trash the hell out of the movie. I am Dominus Cinephile.
And the movie on the review table today is a Nollywood film, Love in Every Word 2, The Wedding. Love in Every Word 2, The Wedding is a 2025 romantic drama that sees Omonioboli attempting to rekindle the spark of her earlier YouTube hit, but lightning doesn't always strike twice. Despite the hype and strong viewership of the first installment, this sequel struggles to rise above predictable storytelling and recycled emotions, bringing back Uzo Arukwe, Bambam Olaomi Adenibuyon, Osereme Inegbenebo, Thelma Chukwuwem, Chris Atto, Patience Ozokwo, and Omotunde Adebowale David. The film premiered on October 24, 2025 on Omonioboli's YouTube channel with high expectations that it only partly fulfills. In Love in Every Word 2, The Wedding, the story of Odogwu and Achalugo returns, but this time, love faces its toughest test yet. The film opens on a haunting note. Chioma wakes from a nightmare where Odogwu's Umuna, his male kinsmen, reject her because she was born out of wedlock. What begins as a dream soon turns into a tormenting premonition, shaking her faith and igniting fears that destiny might be against her. As reality starts to echo her nightmare, Chioma's world begins to crumble. The unexpected reappearance of her first love threatens to unravel her engagement, while Odogwu's mother wages a quiet war against their union. What once felt like a perfect love story now teeters on the edge of heartbreak and betrayal. Caught between love and tradition, loyalty and pride, Odogwu must decide. Will he fight for Chioma against all odds or surrender to the forces determined to keep them apart? Just like its predecessor, Love in Every Word 2, The Wedding has proven to be another massive hit for Omonioboli on YouTube. The sequel pulled in a staggering 3 million views within just 21 hours of release, and in less than 4 days, it had already surpassed 9 million views, a testament to the film's strong fan base and Omonioboli's growing dominance in the YouTube movie space. With numbers like these, there's no denying that Omonioboli has once again struck digital gold. Great synopsis and impressive YouTube numbers, right? Well, let's get into the real deal and find out if Love in Every Word 2, The Wedding actually lives up to the hype, or if those millions of views are just digital noise. First things first, the runtime. And when I say it blew my mind, trust me, it wasn't in a good way. This movie went full Bollywood mode with an outrageous runtime of over 3 hours. Yes, 3 whole hours. And for what? A bloated script packed with filler scenes that add nothing to the story. The endless perfume shop sequences felt like a perfume commercial that wouldn't end, and the business talk scenes dragged on unnecessarily, testing the audience's patience. For a movie marketed as a romantic wedding story, this sequel dances around its central theme like a headless goat, losing focus and momentum at every turn. And when we finally get to the much anticipated wedding, the big payoff we've been waiting for, it turns out to be an absolute letdown. And speaking of commercials, let's talk about one of this movie's most irritating flaws: the blatant product placement. Now, don't get me wrong, it's great that Omonioboli is attracting brands and cashing in on the success of the first installment. That's smart business. But there's a difference between clever brand integration and turning your film into a walking advertisement. Unfortunately, this movie leans heavily towards the latter. From the awkward Coca-Cola drinking scenes to the over-the-top Knorr and Mamador oil plugs near the end, and even the first MTN name drop by Odogwu, the product placement was anything but subtle. It was loud, clumsy, and painfully obvious, completely breaking the flow of the story. Instead of feeling like part of the movie's world, these ads felt pasted in, like an afterthought aimed at padding runtime and profits. What makes it worse is that these unnecessary brand moments clearly contributed to the movie's dragged-out 3-hour runtime, turning what could have been a tight, engaging romantic drama into an exhausting, overstuffed commercial reel. There are smarter, more seamless ways to feature sponsors in a film. This just wasn't it. One of the most frustrating aspects of Love in Every Word to The Wedding, and I'm sure many viewers familiar with Igbo culture will agree, is the poorly executed conflict surrounding Odogwu's mother's opposition to his marriage. Her refusal to let her son marry Chioma simply because she was born out of wedlock felt not only outdated but also culturally inaccurate and cinematically hollow. The motive lacked emotional and logical weight. There was no strong backstory or convincing reason behind her prejudice, just a lazy excuse to create unnecessary drama. A deeper, more nuanced motivation could have added complexity, but what we got was shallow writing disguised as cultural conflict. Then came another baffling scene: the beach resort encounter between Chioma and Odogwu's mother. Odogwu, for some reason, conspires with Chioma's friend to bring her to the resort, where she ends up having a heart-to-heart conversation with his mother, completely unaware of who she is speaking to. Now, this is where the writing truly collapses. The dialogue made it painfully obvious that the woman was referring to Odogwu. Yet Chioma, in all her supposed intelligence, couldn't connect the dots. It scenes like this that insult the audience's intelligence and expose the weak, inconsistent writing at the heart of this film.
For a movie that wants to portray emotional depth and cultural authenticity, moments like these feel forced, unrealistic, and downright ridiculous. They break immersion and make you question whether the writers even understood the story they were trying to tell. Like I mentioned in my review of the prequel, which you can find right here on my channel, the character of Odogwu was poorly portrayed as a billionaire, and sadly, nothing changed in this sequel. Once again, the character fails to embody even a fraction of the lifestyle, aura, or class that comes with that kind of wealth. Odogwu doesn't look, act, or carry himself like a billionaire in any sense of the word. If a man is truly a billionaire, we should see it, not just hear it. There should be visual power in his world. The cars, the wardrobe, the staff, the setting, the details that communicate status without a single word. Odogwu, however, looked more like a moderately successful businessman or a rich Alaba trader than a man of vast influence. No private jets, no distinct luxury lifestyle, no convincing authority in his presence, just empty talk backed by unimpressive visuals. The costuming only made things worse. Odogwu's wardrobe was a complete disappointment. From the cheap-looking Isiagu attire to the uninspired outfits he wore throughout the film, nothing about his appearance screamed class or wealth. At several points, he looked downright unkempt, from his poorly styled hair to his overall presentation. For a character meant to symbolize success and affluence, this was a total miss. Even more disappointing was the introduction of Chioma's ex, whose costuming and screen presence were painfully weak. The character was supposed to bring tension and charm, Yet, his look and demeanor did the exact opposite. He blended into the background instead of commanding it. The only area where the wardrobe department somewhat got it right was with Chioma's character, who at least looked consistent with her role and storyline. Let's break down the actors' performances, starting with Bam Bam Olawunmi Adenibuyon, who reprises her role as Chioma, and honestly, there's nothing grand or refreshing about her performance this time around. Just like in the first film, she glides through scenes with the same energy, the same expressions, and the same slow-paced delivery that quickly becomes monotonous. Bam Bam looks stunning on camera, no doubt about that, but beauty alone cannot sustain a performance. For most of the movie, she floats around like a perfectly dressed mannequin, reciting her lines with the soft, dragged-out tone of someone in a perfume commercial or a romantic bedroom scene. There's no emotional range, no depth, no conviction, just a series of carefully posed moments that look good visually, but say absolutely nothing cinematically. What's even more frustrating is that the story gives Chioma so many emotional beats: fear, love, heartbreak, confrontation. Yet, Bam Bam's performance barely scratches the surface of any of them. It's all surface level pretty, without the fire or passion that should drive a character in her position. In the end, her portrayal of Chioma feels more like a photo shoot with dialogue than a believable performance. It's the same thing we saw in the prequel: no growth, no spark, and definitely nothing wow about it. Now let's talk about Uzo Arukwe, who returns as Odogwu Obiora, and unfortunately, the character we loved in the first movie feels like a completely different person here, stripped of everything that once made him engaging. In the prequel, Odogwu had this rough round the edges charm, that witty, humorous, relatable energy that drew viewers in and made his romance with Chioma feel alive. But in this sequel, all of that personality has evaporated. What we get instead is a bland, unconvincing shadow of the man we met before. There's no spark, no rhythm, no pulse in his performance. The delivery feels forced and his emotions never truly land. One of the biggest distractions is his inconsistent accent, which keeps fluctuating from scene to scene, a problem that makes his character even less believable. It's almost as if even Uzo himself wasn't sure what kind of Odogwu he was supposed to be playing this time around.
And then there's the matter of presence, or rather, the lack of it. For a man portrayed as a billionaire, there's nothing in Uzo Arukwe's performance that sells that image. No authority, no commanding aura, no sense of class or confidence. The character doesn't exude wealth or power. Instead, he moves and speaks like an ordinary man dressed up for a role that's too big for him. By the end of the film, Uzo's performance leaves you with nothing memorable to hold on to. It's not terrible, but it's painfully average, lacking the charisma and emotional texture that made him likable in the first movie. In short, this Odogwu is a downgrade, a dull, forgettable version of a character that once had real spark. Chris Attor plays the role of Chioma's ex, a character that was supposed to ignite tension and rivalry between Chioma and Odogwu, but honestly, there's absolutely nothing here to see. His performance is flat, forgettable, and lacks any sense of purpose or emotional weight. The script gives him nothing meaningful to work with, and the direction doesn't help either. His screen time is minimal, his presence underwhelming, and by the end of the movie, you almost forget he was ever part of the story. Even from a visual standpoint, his character fails to convince. For someone meant to be a wealthy, charming rival to Odogwu, his costuming and styling were embarrassingly weak. There was no flair, no charisma, no sign of affluence, just another bland face thrown into an already overcrowded plot. The supposed love triangle that should have fueled drama between Chioma and Odogwu
ends up fizzling out before it even begins, leaving nothing but a hollow subplot that goes nowhere. The rest of the cast doesn't fare much better. Apart from Osereme Inegbenebo, who manages to bring a touch of authenticity to her scenes, the overall performances are disappointingly mediocre. Even Patience Ozokwo, who plays Odogwu's mother, feels underused and misdirected. Her role, which could have been layered with emotional and cultural weight, ends up as a hollow caricature of the typical overbearing Nigerian mother. As for the remaining cast, especially the actors playing Odogwu's siblings, their performances are painfully weak. They move through scenes with no energy, no emotion, and zero screen presence. At times, it honestly feels like watching Asaba Nollywood extras trying to act in a film that's far above their skill level. No life, no soul, no chemistry, just bodies filling space and reciting lines. In summary, Loveineveryword 2, The Wedding, fails to live up to its expectations or the hype surrounding its record-breaking YouTube numbers. What could have been an emotional, well-paced continuation of a love story instead collapses under the weight of weak storytelling and poor execution. The script is shallow and uninspired, filled with flat one-liners and dull exchanges that carry no emotional impact or depth. Every dialogue feels like it's just trying to fill time rather than move the story forward. The brand placements in this movie are another major misfire. Intrusive, excessive, and poorly executed. Instead of blending naturally into the scenes, they dominate them, turning moments that should build emotion into cringe-worthy commercials. It's hard to stay invested in a story when every few minutes you are reminded that you are watching a glorified ad reel. The costuming does the film no favors either. For a movie centered on wealth, love, and prestige, the wardrobe choices are weak, unimaginative, and completely fail to match the supposed social class of its characters. Combine that with bland performances from most of the cast, particularly from key characters who should have carried emotional weight, and you get a movie that feels empty at its core. Then there's the runtime, a ridiculous 3 hours that drags endlessly through unnecessary subplots, forced product scenes, and filler dialogue. At best, this story could have been told cleanly and effectively in an hour and 30 minutes. Instead, it's stretched thin, slow, and painfully repetitive. Ultimately, Loveineveryword 2, The Wedding, doesn't improve on its predecessor in any meaningful way. It feels less like a genuine cinematic effort and more like a calculated attempt to chase YouTube clicks over quality filmmaking. For all its hype and numbers, this sequel proves that popularity doesn't always equal good storytelling. And now for my rating. Loveineveryword 2, The Wedding, scores a disappointing 3 out of 10. I'm definitely trashing this. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon for notifications. Also, be sure to follow me on TikTok, WhatsApp channel, and Instagram at Dominus Cinephile for more movie and TV series reviews. Dominus Cinephile, signing out.